Ho, ho, ho. I'm Censorship Santa, here to deliver excellent news to giant AAA publishers who seemingly have abandoned their US customer base in order for all that sweet Chinese gold. A leaked list of video games, which includes some of the biggest titles in the world, from Blizzard to Fortnite to Pooberg to H1Z1, now reveals, at least allegedly, that China is not only banning some of the world's biggest games, but at minimum, requesting corrective action to other games. Now, this type of behavior is not unheard of from China, based on what we saw with the Rainbow Six saga, removing the slot machines and taking blood off the walls. Ultimately, the fans went out there, and they're going to have to release a different version, apparently, for China. But let's take a look at this list. It is unconfirmed at this point, but it's interesting to me, and I admit it, okay? I admit it. I'm taking a little bit of pleasure in this simply because of Diablo Immortal and some of the purely cash grab mobile debacles that AAA gaming companies have decided to spend their time on this year instead of, doing what their actual customer bases want. But some of the games on here, I don't know. That doesn't mean they're not big. It's just I might not know them off the top of my head. We've got Pooberg, prohibited. Fortnite, prohibited. Alliance of Valiant Arms, Red Duck, prohibited. Paladins, that's also prohibitive. Knives Out by NetEase, Quantum Matrix. It's interesting because NetEase is the company that Blizzard is working with that supposedly has a line on the Chinese market that they're working on their Diablo Immortal franchise with, as far as I knew. But then let's look at some of the corrective action. Now, I think based on the way that these AAA developers are treating the Chinese market, we can expect that they are going to make the changes requested here. But I think it's funny to read some of the things that they're asking for. Look, I don't know. Do people in China even watch my videos? Can you even watch my videos? Can you read my son? I don't know. But please don't take this personally. I know if you happen to live there, you don't have to necessarily agree with your government's every action. Believe me, that's common here. So let's look at League of Legends. Overly revealing female characters, rewards given based on rank, inharmonious chat room. That is some really interesting language. Not like toxic chat room or whatever. It's inharmonious. Blade and Soul. Overly revealing female characters, inharmonious chat room. This is easy, right? Game developers will just remove the chat room for the Chinese market. Chu Lao Zhang from NetEase, overly revealing female characters. Overwatch. Game visuals promote incorrect values, inharmonious chat room. I'm not sure because, what are the values that are inharmonious? It would be really nice to get some specifics around this. Diablo. Game missions include fraud. So it seems like the people that are reviewing this are like playing every bit of the game before they're allowing it. Then we've got, Legion of Mir, Swords of Legends Online. These are just chat room issues, right? So they'll just bar the chat room. But it's funny to look at some of the rewards given based on rank. Wow. Well, of course, a communist country probably wouldn't like that, right? Distorted concepts of history. How come Battlefield 5's not on this list? Zoinks! So we see games include Pooberg, H1Z1, Ring of Elysium, Paladins, were all ruled as prohibited or withdraw because of blood and gore or vulgar content. Other popular games include Riot's League of Legends. Activision Blizzard titles such as Overwatch, Diablo, World of Warcraft were not prohibited, but instead recommended to have corrective action. The rumor. This is now certainly a rumor. It seems to have been sparked by a post in the Chinese gaming forum NGA and then translated to English in the Reddit thread, which garnered a lot of attention. The leaked list of games, which you can find below, translated from this table, but as one Reddit user points out, this could have been put together by the original user and then simply claimed as a legitimate leak. Those are arguably odd rulings considering Overwatch character modules like Widowmaker show cleavage, which is not even allowed on Chinese television, but Overwatch is not prohibited while Fortnite is. The Epic Games title also features no blood. Why is blood and gore given as the reason for the ban is unclear. That's true. That is some inconsistent rulings. I think it's probably, it's just one source. I'm not going to claim it's necessarily true. But by banning Fortnite, Poohberg, and other games, they're just going to make the changes. There's just too much money to be made from these markets. And to be honest, with what we know of the Chinese literally rolling out like a social credit score that can literally prevent your travel inside the country. Like if you play too many video games, you could literally have your restrictions or your movement restricted, from how I understand it. Now, I don't live there, but this is how I've seen it be reported. It's weird, but I don't think this is going to discourage AAA developers. All this means is that they're now going to take away more resources from, let's say in Blizzard's case, probably working on Diablo 4, to going back to make sure, absolutely sure, Diablo Immortal makes it, although Diablo Immortal is not on this list. We don't know if it had actually been reviewed or not. World of Warcraft not getting into China, that seems like a high priority thing, but also major changes will be required there. So I don't know. Entering the Chinese market, I'm worried that given limited hours in the day, given limited development time, given limited resources, how will AAA developers react to this now? Once their games get rejected, are they going to pull developers off other projects for a quick review, quick response? Or are they going to have entirely new releases? And how is this going to affect the game in the United States? We saw the pushback with Rainbow Six Siege having things removed, and the U.S. player group base stood up and said, no, we already paid for this. We do not accept these changes, however small you may say they are. We've seen now Capcom reverse engineering, or reverse plugging in microtransactions and advertising into their games and penalizing the players for not looking at them. We're yet to see if the player pushback there is going to be enough, although I highly doubt it. Many of you talked to me about Street Fighter V and said, hey, it's not a big deal. And I suspected hardcore fans would probably be fine with it, although I'm very nervous. I'm looking at things like this as the precedent they set. Maybe not necessarily how they affect the specific game, but when you talk about companies willing to bend over backwards to get into the Chinese market, which is what we see, it's concerning. And I'm willing to bet that even if this list isn't entirely accurate, there will be changes required to these games like Fortnite or Diablo or World of Warcraft. And I'm going to guess that developers are just going to try and make the changes sweeping for everybody. And that's going to be what we're going to be fighting in 2019, is these regressions in our games, or the development of new games with these Chinese standards already in place being subpar or watered down just to make sure that they get approved for China, giving everyone else a subpar product. It's going to water everything down. It's pretty concerning. I think it's a bigger deal than people think with a single game at a time. Clearly, all these developers have their eyes on China. They want in. They think it's a huge market. It is a huge market, obviously. But I am worried that it's going to come at the expense of existing gamers. I definitely want to hear, by the way, so that's clear, I do not support any retro changes to games that people have already paid for. That is unacceptable. You can patch it, you can improve it, but you can't make it worse. And you can't take away things that people had already accepted in their purchase. Now, if you're going to refund people money, all right, fine, then we can talk. But if you're not going to do that, then I 100% stand against this. I'm curious what you think. Do you think this list is real? If it is real, what do you think this means for games of 2019? I believe that they're going to just force the changes on the Western market. That's what I believe. But do you think that they will try to protect their PR and actually just have different Chinese releases? I don't know. I'm not a developer, so I don't know how difficult these things would be to roll out, but certainly it's something to keep our eyes on going into 2019. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon. One last quick thing here. just finished our funding for Exclusively Games. I want to reach out to anyone who reached out to me that wanted to write for the website. I haven't been able to keep up with all of you, so I put together a system now that the editorial staff is in place to get you reviewed and either approved or feedback given to you. I'm going to pin the tweet in the top comment below. So if you are waiting to hear back from me on writing for the website, just use this new process. I got totally buried and I don't remember where anyone is, and I'm very sorry, but I didn't expect 500 people to apply. I was trying to get back to everybody one at a time, and I can't do it. So I have 3 editors on staff now that are all coached up and ready to give you back feedback and get you through the approval process, and we'll look at that. So I appreciate everyone for their support with Exclusively Games. We're going to have something amazing in just a little time. 30 or 40 days, we should be live. Talk to you soon.